Is it because there is no God that you've now relied on other forms and other people to be the one that solve your problems? Is it because that there is no God? Have self-control. Do not just act on certain things. There are certain battles that you're meant to fight, and there are certain battles that you're just meant to hold back and not fight at all. Greetings once again and welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you do not miss when a new video pops up. Right now, keep in mind, guys, that you are now available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Overcast, as well as on Amazon Music, and you can be sure to follow us on any of those 6 different platforms. Now, also keep in mind, guys, that you are now available on YouTube, and this is to the podcast team. You can find us on YouTube at Ashley Jarera, and you can be sure to follow us as well on that platform. Now, today, guys, we are going to be talking about why it is so essential for a leader to have self-control. Is it really that important for a leader to have self-control? Or rather, he can just behave in any way that he decides to behave in, right? And that is what we are going to be talking about today. So is it really important for me as a leader to have self-control? Or rather, I can just do what it is that I want and do whatever I want, right? And not have any self-control. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. So now, for you to find out more, stick around. Now, without wasting further time, guys, we are going to be reading from the book of 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 23 and verse 24. And it reads as follows. And he went up from thence unto Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city, and mocked him, and said unto him, Go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head. And he turned back, and looked on them, and cursed them in the name of the Lord. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and tare 40 and children of them. Now, as we've just read, guys, as we read in the Bible, it says that when these children came forth to him, they told him that he had a bald head. But then how did it get to that point, right? How did it get to that point where now he was told that, okay, you have a bald head. And then he decided, you know what, I'm going to curse these little children, right? Now, if we take it back and we go back to how it all started, right? It came to a point now when Elijah was about to be taken up by God. And you can now go to verse 9, right? Where then he says that to Elijah that, give me a double portion of your spirit. Right? He says that give me a double portion of your spirit, and you find this in verse 9. So then in Elijah hearing this, he says that, oh, what you're asking is actually hard for me to do. But now that you have asked it, guys, he says that now but that you have asked, if you see me going up, you shall have what it is that you have asked for, right? But then if you also don't see me, you shall not have what you asked for. So now a point that I just want us to get there from verse 9. The fact that it was hard did not stop Elisha from asking Elijah for the things that he wanted to ask him for, right? So then a question then comes to you today. What have you not asked from God because you think to yourself that this is actually too hard for God to do in my life? What is it that you have held back and you said, you know what, God, I think this might just be too big for you? What is it that you have held back today from asking God? And here we see that Elisha, in hearing this, he says that no, I am not going to do that, but rather the fact that it is hard, I am still going to ask you for this thing. And then Elijah, in doing so, he says that, and then as they were walking and as they were talking, he says that, and then a whirlwind came and took him with it, horses, chariots of fire, and all of that, right? So that's the question I just wanted us to keep in mind, guys, that what have you stopped asking God because you're thinking to yourself, this thing might just be too hard for you, and you're thinking to yourself, I think I'll just hold back to this, right? So what is it that you've today held back and told God that, you know what, I think this is too hard for you? Now, another point, guys, that I just want us to keep in mind is that this guy did not ask for anything that was physical, right? He did not ask for anything that was physical. Now, let us just take it a bit back. Now, when God came to him, right, God asked him, what is it that you want? And he told him, I want wisdom, something that was not physical, something that was not tangible. Now, Elisha is also doing the same thing. He asks him, he says, what is it that you want? And Elijah is asking him this and says, what is it that you want? And Elisha, in response to that, he says that, give me a double portion of your spirit. He could have asked him for everything else. He could have asked him from the mantle that he used to separate the seas, right? He could have asked for that because he thought that the mantle had power. But he did not ask for that. But rather, he asked for the spirit, double portion of the spirit of Elijah. And that's just something I just want us to keep in mind, guys. That also when you come to God, keep in mind, and we say this in the other episode, that do not just ask for that which is physical, but also ask for the spiritual things. For in getting the spiritual things, you also get the physical as well. And we see here in the instant of Elisha, it says that when he got that, right, when he got the double portion, he also got the mantle on top of that. And he only asked for the mantle, he was going to get the mantle of Elijah. But he did not only just get that, but he also got as well the double portion of the spirit. Why? Because he did not ask for the physical, but he asked for the spiritual. So as you also go on about your life, guys, let us keep in mind, ask not only for the physical, but ask as well for the spiritual. Remember, our topic for today says that why it is so essential for a leader to have self-control. Now, this guy haven't asked the double portion. I don't think he had it in mind that, this is double portion of the spirit of Elijah. Someone who sat there and said that there is not going to be rain, and there was no rain and dew on the land. This guy now had double portion of that spirit. He also, I don't think it rang in his mind, whereby he said that the double portion of his spirit. When Elijah said that when he parted also the waters, it shows that, right, in the Bible. It also shows that when the armies and the 50 men and their captains, they came, and he was like, if I am a man of God, let there be fire that comes down from heaven and consume you. And there was fire that came down from heaven and consumed these people. I don't think he had it in his mind to understand that this was the power, a double portion of that same power. So he could have achieved anything. So now when we go to the verse that we just read in verse 23 and verse 24, we realize that now he is using the power to fight small battles. He is now using the power to fight small battles. And it says that when the little children came to him and they mocked him, and he got, I don't know what happened to him. The Bible does not clearly say what happened to him, but it says that when he turned back, he cursed them in the name of the Lord, right? He lacked self-control. He was made to anger and to act by little children, forgetting the power that he had. Sometimes we have people that have been put in power, but they forget that they should have self-control. We have leaders that should have been put in power, but now they don't have self-control. So now they just practice the power on any other battle, forgetting that they just have a double portion of the spirit. They do not just have, triple portion or an everlasting portion of the spirit. But keep in mind, you just have but a double portion of the spirit. So practice and keep in mind, guys, have self-control. Do not just fight any small battles that come your way and anything that kindles your anger. You're quick to act and all of that. No. You shouldn't be like that, guys. But have self-control. And that is something that we're also getting from here, from the book of 2 Kings chapter 23 and verse 20. Power in the wrong hands is lethal. Do not be that leader that lacks self-control and uses the power in the wrong way, right? Do not be that type of leader, right? Do not be that type of leader that lacks self-control. For even the Bible says, but the fruits of the Spirit, and as it is mentioned in some of the fruits of the Spirit, it says that love, joy, peace, self-control, patience, long-suffering, and all of that. So you cannot be a leader as well when you don't have self-control. You can't control any small thing that is said up to you. I mean, just imagine the parents of these children when they heard that their children were devoured by bears, and then people ask, what was the story behind that? And they said, because they said Elisha has a bald head. Just imagine, and the parents are hearing these things. Now, these were little children. The Bible clearly states that these were little children, right? So in your mind, there are certain battles that you shouldn't fight, guys. There are certain battles that you should keep in mind and have self-control over, and not just let yourself act and all of that. For now, Elisha acted on this, and I'm saying to you today, as a leader, be a leader that has self-control. Or if you are aspiring to be a leader, make sure that you are a leader that has self-control. There are certain battles that are too small for you to be fighting. Your battles are supposed to be higher than that. This guy had a double portion of stopping the rain and dew, of making fire to come down from heaven to earth, but he was found cursing little children. And perhaps there is also a lesson to that, right? That perhaps do not go around mocking people as well, for you do not know whether people have self-control or they do not. You might just find yourself cursed, right? So do not find yourself just going around and mocking people, for you do not know what people carry on themselves, right? So that is also another lesson that we can get. But as we are closing this, guys, keep in mind, have self-control. Do not just act on certain things. There are certain battles that you're meant to fight, and there are certain battles that you're just meant to hold back and not fight at all. And that is our message for today, having self-control. Why it is so essential for a leader to have self-control, right? So just keep that in mind, and may God bless you. The one who says that I am the beginning and the end, the one who made the sun, the moon, the stars, and all that we see that is within the earth. If he is for you, the Bible says, who then shall be against you?